Angel Reese is pissed off at the Atlanta Dream fan base. You just got to Atlanta. You just got to Atlanta. And now you're pissing in the face of your fans. Why? Because no Atlanta Dream players are actually starters on the All.
At first, it seemed like just another day, another Angel Reese controversy. But this time, she wasn't going after opponents or league officials. Instead, she was calling out her own fans. The Atlanta Dream had just added one of the most talked about players in women's basketball, and before the honeymoon phase could even end, she was already publicly criticizing the fan base for not showing up when it mattered. Then the All-Star voting results were announced, and Angel Reese had some very strong opinions about what those results revealed.
Angel Reese is pissed off, right? Before we jump into this, Angel Reese drowning her fans, or the Dream fans, of course. Look, let's be real. Angel Reese fans and actual basketball team fans are two different things. Also, where the hell's all these supposed Angel Reese fans at? Because you wasn't exactly nipping at the heels of first, second, or third place in this All-Star vote based on fan voting. You were not. In fact, you were beat by like 350.
Now let's take a closer look at what actually happened with the All-Star voting, because the numbers tell a story that directly contradicts the narrative we've been hearing for months. Angel Reese finished 8th in overall voting with 681,500 votes. 8th, not 1st, not 2nd, not even 3rd. She was also behind Jessica Shepard and Gabby Williams. And she trailed Caitlin Clark and Paige Buchers by nearly 400,000 votes. That's almost 400,000.
This is wild to me. And the WNBA...
Now here's where this becomes especially interesting from a basketball perspective. The Atlanta Dream currently sits at 12 wins and 8 losses. That's a solid record, definitely playoff worthy, but let's add the context that Angel Reese conveniently left out of her public criticism. The Dream had just lost 4 straight games, including a defeat to the Washington Mystics without their star player, Brittany Sykes, in the lineup. That's not just a bad loss. That's an embarrassing one. Now let's break down exactly what Angel Reese said, because her words reveal something important about how she views her role and her relationship with fans. According to ESPN, she stated, "I expect to be disrespected. For those two, though, I think they work so hard, and they put a lot of work in the way that they're guarded every game." She's positioning herself as the martyr here, someone who's used to being treated unfairly while simultaneously advocating for her teammates. It's a clever approach. Now, let's address the statistical reality that makes this entire controversy even more complicated. According to reports from Alexa Philippou, fewer than half of WNBA players actually submitted ballots for this year's All-Star voting. Less than half. In a league with only 144 players total, they couldn't even get 73 of them to submit a ballot. That's not a complex process. That's not asking for detailed scouting reports or advanced analytics. Now let's look at the double standard that's being discussed here, because it's hard to ignore. Angel Reese talks about how her teammates are guarded, how defenses have to adjust for Ryan Howard and Alisha Gray, and how that attention creates opportunities for the rest of the team. That's a legitimate basketball argument. But when that same logic is applied to Caitlin Clark, suddenly it doesn't seem to matter anymore. Suddenly, the fact that she's being face-guarded from the moment she crosses half-court, that teams are using specialized defensive schemes specifically designed to stop her, and that she's still putting up 20-plus points and 7 assists per game despite that attention, none of it counts in the player voting. Angel Reese averaged 10 points and 10 rebounds last season with the Chicago Sky. Those are solid numbers, especially the rebounding. But let's be honest about what those double-doubles actually represent. She's grabbing a lot of offensive rebounds off her own missed shots. Her field goal percentage on layups is very poor. There are compilation videos of her missing multiple layups in single games. That's not all-star level efficiency. That's not the kind of performance that should automatically guarantee a starting spot based on hard work and effort alone. The Atlanta Dream are 12-8 with Angel Reese. They were 15-25 last season without her. That's not the transformative impact that warrants multiple All-Star starters. That's not the type of addition that fundamentally changes a franchise's trajectory. And yet, she's questioning why the fans didn't rally around the team enough to overcome the voting deficit. Now here's what makes this situation especially interesting from a media and marketing perspective. Angel Reese has 5 million followers on Instagram. 5 million. That's more than most WNBA teams have in their entire fan base. She's constantly in the news, constantly generating headlines, and constantly being positioned as one of the faces of the new WNBA alongside Caitlin Clark. But when it came time for those 5 million followers to actually show up and vote, where were they? She finished with 681,000 votes. That means fewer than 14% of her Instagram followers participated in All-Star voting. And that's assuming every one of those votes came from her followers, which obviously isn't the case, because she also has teammates and casual fans who may have voted for her without following her on social media. The real number is probably closer to 10% engagement, or even less. Compare that to Caitlin Clark's numbers, where she received over 1 million votes, despite having a smaller social media following at the time. That's a real fan base. That's people who actually watch the games, care about on-court performance, and engage with the sport beyond simply following drama on Instagram. This same pattern appeared earlier this season when the Dream played at LSU, Angel Reese's former college. You'd expect that to be a homecoming game, a celebration, and a chance for all those LSU fans who supposedly support Angel Reese to come out and cheer for her professional career. But the arena was more than half empty. The photos from that game were embarrassing. You could see entire sections that looked only about 20% full. Those 5 million Instagram followers didn't show up in Baton Rouge. They didn't show up for All-Star voting either. So where exactly are they? The answer is uncomfortable, but obvious. They're not basketball fans. They're social media followers. They're people who engage with drama, controversy, and personality, but they're not the kind of fans who buy tickets, watch full games, or participate in league voting. They're passive observers of celebrity culture rather than active participants in women's basketball. And that distinction matters enormously when we're talking about all-star selections, franchise value, and media coverage. Angel Reese is a social media celebrity who happens to play basketball. She's not a basketball player who simply happens to have a social media presence. There's a fundamental difference between those two things, and the All-Star voting results expose that reality in a way that can't be spun or explained away. You can't claim to have this massive engaged fan base and then finish 8th in voting, nearly 400,000 votes behind the leaders. You also can't criticize your team's fans for not rallying around the players when your own followers don't show up when it actually matters. And here's the part that should concern the Atlanta Dream organization. She's already alienating the local fan base before the season is even halfway over. She just arrived in Atlanta. She's been there for weeks, not months, not years. And she's already publicly questioning whether the fans are doing enough. That's not how you build a relationship with a new city. That's not how you create long-term loyalty and support. That's how resentment and backlash begin to grow. Think about it from the perspective of a Dream season ticket holder. You've been supporting this team through years of mediocrity. You've watched them struggle. You've continued buying tickets even when they were losing. You've invested your time and money into this franchise. And then a player gets traded to your team and immediately starts criticizing you for not voting hard enough in an all-star ballot. How does that make you feel? Does that make you want to support her even more? Does that make you want to buy her jersey, show up to games, and defend her on social media? Or does it make you feel disrespected and undervalued? The irony is that Angel Reese says she expects to be disrespected, but her own actions toward the Dream fan base come across as fundamentally disrespectful. She's telling them they didn't do enough. They didn't care enough. They didn't support the team enough to get players into all-star starting positions. But those same fans have been showing up for years. They've been supporting Ryan Howard and Alisha Gray long before Angel Reese arrived. They understand what all-star level performance looks like, and apparently they don't believe this year's Dream roster, with its 12-8 record and 4-game losing streak, deserves multiple All-Star starters. Let's also address the elephant in the room regarding the WNBA's voting process itself. The fact that fewer than half the players submitted ballots is absolutely inexcusable. This is a league with 144 players. You're telling me the WNBA couldn't organize a mandatory voting session where every player on every team submits a ballot? They couldn't send out digital forms with required responses. They couldn't make this a condition of league participation. The NBA doesn't have this problem. NFL players vote for the Pro Bowl. MLB players vote for the All-Star Game. But somehow the WNBA, which constantly complains about not getting enough respect and attention, can't get its own players to participate in one of the most basic promotional activities the league has. That organizational issue directly impacts the legitimacy of the results. When only half the players vote and the player vote counts for 25% of the total, you're essentially cutting that component's impact in half. It means the fan vote becomes even more important, which brings us right back to Angel Reese's problem. Her fans didn't show up. The players who did vote apparently didn't think she deserved a starting spot. And the media, which accounts for the final 25%, also didn't place her in the top tier. At some point, you have to look at those three separate groups reaching the same conclusion and ask whether maybe, just maybe, the voting results are accurate. Angel Reese's response to this situation reveals a lot about her mindset and her understanding of professional sports. Instead of looking inward, instead of asking what she could do differently to earn more votes next year, instead of acknowledging that her team's 4-game losing streak might have been a factor in how fans viewed the roster's overall quality, she immediately shifted the blame elsewhere. It's the fans' fault for not galvanizing. It's the system's fault for not recognizing hard work. It's everyone else's fault except her own. That's not the mindset of a leader. That's not the mindset of someone who's going to elevate a franchise and build a lasting legacy in a city. That's the mindset of someone who's used to being the center of attention, who expects recognition regardless of results, and who believes that effort and personality should outweigh actual performance and team success. In professional sports, that attitude eventually catches up with you. The comparison to Caitlin Clark is unavoidable here, and it's not flattering for Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark has dealt with more scrutiny, more criticism, and more unfair treatment from media and opposing players than possibly any rookie in WNBA history. She's been called out by veterans. She's been physically targeted on the court. She's been ranked 11th by her fellow players despite leading the league in assists and transforming a historically bad franchise into a playoff contender. Her response has simply been to let her performance speak for itself. She doesn't call out fans. She doesn't criticize the voting process. She doesn't demand recognition. She just plays basketball at an elite level and lets the results speak for themselves. Angel Reese could learn something from that approach. Instead of going on ESPN and criticizing the Dream fan base for not voting hard enough, she could focus on improving her field goal percentage on layups, finishing stronger through contact, and becoming more efficient in the half court. She could work on expanding her offensive game beyond putback rebounds and second chance points, because if she wants to be treated like a true all-star, then her game has to look like one every night, not just in flashes. She could also use this stretch to help her team end this 4-game losing streak and prove that her addition actually makes Atlanta a legitimate contender, not just a team with more headlines. Because right now, the numbers simply do not support the narrative she is trying to sell. The Atlanta Dream are not significantly better with Angel Reese than they were without her. That is not hate, that is not bias, that is just the reality of the win-loss record and the way the team has performed since her arrival. They are on pace to finish with roughly the same number of wins as last season, maybe a few more, but not the kind of dramatic jump that would make people say, yes, this is a franchise-changing move. And when you combine that average team performance with Angel Reese's individual statistics, which are solid but not spectacular, along with her 400,000 vote deficit behind the leaders, the All-Star voting results start to make perfect sense. Fans, players, and media members are all reacting to the same thing: production, consistency, and impact. So the real question is not why Dream fans did not galvanize around the players. The real question is why Angel Reese believed they should have when the team has not given them enough reason to do so. What has this team done this season to deserve multiple All-Star starters? What has Angel Reese done individually to justify being upset about finishing 8th in the voting? The answer is nothing exceptional. They're a middle-of-the-pack team with middle-of-the-pack players having middle-of-the-pack seasons, and in a league where reputation matters, but performance matters more, that simply is not enough. If she wants the votes next time, if she wants the respect she keeps talking about, then the solution is not complaining about the fans. The solution is dominating on the court, leading by example, and giving people a real reason to believe.